Nauticrawl is a simulation puzzle game that throws you in the driver's seat of a strange alien vehicle with the goal of escaping oppression. It's a title that consists entirely of levers, buttons, radars, and screens. Though that may sound a bit uninteresting on the surface, the game is surprisingly engaging and atmospheric. Topped off with very little handholding, permadeath, and valuing knowledge above all else, the game delivers an interesting and unique experience. Nauticrawl is a clear example of doing more with less, while feeling completely fresh and original. With regards to the gameplay, it has a steep difficulty curve that rapidly plateaus after passing through the initial stage a couple of times. Learning how to operate the game's various systems evokes the feeling of figuring out how to fly an airplane without any guidance, in the best possible way. Nauticrawl relies on the player's own intuition, while very slightly inching them towards a greater understanding of the systems at play. Knowing is most of the battle, but small accidents or mistakes can still lead to the occasional game over. The permadeath factor highlights the challenge of escaping, while emphasizing the importance of knowing how to operate the many parts that make up the Nauticrawl. Mechanically, it's a game that demands that the player learn the systematic logic behind enemy detection and vehicle maintenance. At first, even starting up the Nauticrawl's engine was a complete mystery. However, it eventually became very easy to operate after taking the time to really learn what every lever and button did. Occasionally, the game has the player doing specific actions such as picking up radio signals or checking vehicle health to ensure that the player is well aware of the Nauticrawl's numerous facilities. Thanks to intuitive design as well as the developer's trust in player adaptability, Nauticrawl is a title completely devoid of any hardline tutorial or hand-holding sequences. As an experience, the game effortlessly provides an exciting dive into entirely unfamiliar interfaces. However, it certainly lacks mechanical depth beyond understanding how to operate the vehicle effectively and efficiently. As mentioned before, knowing is most of the battle. This acts as a double-edged sword due to a lack of challenge once the player moves beyond the initial hurdle of learning how to operate the Nauticrawl. Energy, stealth, and inventory management all have a degree of mystique to them initially, but a skilled player will easily breeze through levels with little difficulty and a very low chance of failure. With inspiration from the roguelike genre, permadeath sets the stage for teaching the player. Every death provides further understanding on the failure states, while highlighting just how difficult it is to successfully escape within Nauticrawl's world. There's a degree of procedural level generation that keeps the game feeling fresh during the learning phase, but it just isn't enough to incentivize the player to replay the campaign. Unfortunately, Nauticrawl lacks replayability once the first run is over as a result of both the low skill ceiling as well as the somewhat shallow mechanics. However, the initial playthrough is fulfilling enough to be worth playing due to the rewarding nature of figuring out exactly what makes the vehicle tick. Beyond the gameplay, Nauticrawl excels in atmosphere, especially with a good pair of headphones. Operating the switches, buttons, and levers all have satisfying sound effects, though admittedly, it would have been nice to have optional visual indicators for interactive objects. Sound cues effectively inform the player of various vehicle states along with strong visual notifications. Hostile enemies make creepy sounds that alert the player of their presence, even without the radar. Overall, the game definitely does a good job at making the adventure feel authentic. Nauticrawl is an absolute treat to play. What the game lacks in depth is made up for by its sheer devotion to intuitive design. It eschews the excessive tutorialization found in many modern titles in favor of letting the players learn for themselves. On the surface level, Nauticrawl is a difficult permadeath experience, but once the player moves past the point of learning how to best operate the vehicle, it quickly becomes less about survival and more about reaching the final sequence. Regardless, the title is highly recommended for those that have an interest in innovative, unique journeys centered on learning nuanced systems. Thanks for watching the review. The original review was written for DarkStation, and I was provided a review copy. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like the video and consider subscribing to my channel. If you want more, here are some of my other videos. See you all next time, when I break down exactly how to drive a car using trial and error.